My husband became distant, but when he texted, he was always smiling, not at me, but at his screen. One day, his laptop synced to the cloud, and I read, "If only I had met you first." My hands shook as I scrolled through months of messages. That night, I served him dinner with a note under his plate, "I wish I had met someone more loyal." He looked up, eyes wide, as I placed the divorce papers next to his wine glass. "I never imagined I'd be writing here. I've read a lot of these stories. I never thought I'd be the one living one. But here I am. I've been married to Alex for almost 12 years. We met during our final year at the University of Washington. We got together fast. We clicked. He was smart, calm, funny in this dry way that always caught me off guard. We got married 2 years after graduation. Bought a small 2-bedroom house in Queen and started building a quiet, steady life. Things weren't always perfect. There were the usual fights, money, stress, work hours. But we always came back together. We had routines. He made coffee every morning. I cooked dinner. We went on a trip every summer. We didn't have kids, not by choice, but because it just never happened. I thought we were happy, or at least content. Until about a year ago. I started noticing small things. He stopped making jokes. He stopped asking how my day was. He wasn't mean, but he was, somewhere else. Mentally checked out. He'd come home from work and go straight to his office, close the door, and stay in there until dinner. Sometimes he'd eat, sometimes he'd say he had too much work and take the plate with him. I'd sit alone at the table and try not to feel like something was cracking. He started spending a lot more time on his phone. He'd smile at it. Type quickly. Then stop if I came into the room. Sometimes he'd even turn the screen down. I asked him a couple times what was so funny or who he was talking to. He always brushed it off. Said it was work, or memes, or some stupid group chat I wouldn't get. I'm not stupid. I just didn't want to see it. One night he left his laptop open on the couch. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I went to move it, and the screen lit up. A notification popped up in the top corner, iMessage synced through his iCloud account. I didn't even mean to read it. But the first line was right there, "If only I had met you first." It felt like my chest caved in. Like everything I'd ignored came rushing to the surface all at once. I opened the laptop. I wish I hadn't, but I did. There were hundreds of messages. Her name was Sophie. She worked in marketing. They met at a conference in San Francisco last spring. At first, it was just networking, then long texts about life and what-ifs. Then photos. Then talks about how unhappy he was with me. About how I didn't understand him anymore. That he felt alive around her. That she got him. One message from him. "I wish I could wake up next to you every day." Another from her, "It kills me that I have to wait until your situation changes." They called me the situation. Like I was some kind of inconvenience. I couldn't stop scrolling. I read everything. All the late-night messages. The flirtation. The emotional crap. The way he talked to her, the softness, the patience, things he hadn't given me in years. The worst part? He said things to her that I'd waited to hear from him for over a decade. And the whole time, he still sat across from me at dinner. Still kissed my forehead. Still told me I love you out of habit. My hands were shaking. My mouth went dry. I sat with that open laptop until he came out of the shower, towel wrapped around his waist, humming to himself. He didn't notice me crying. I didn't say anything that night. I needed time to breathe, to think, to not collapse into a screaming mess. I spent the whole next day on autopilot. I went to work. I smiled at my coworkers. But inside, everything was unraveling. That night, I made his favorite dinner. Garlic butter chicken, mashed potatoes, roasted carrots. I set the table, lit candles, poured wine. I placed a note under his plate. When he sat down, he looked surprised. He asked what the occasion was. I just smiled. He lifted his plate and read the note. It said, "I wish I had met someone more loyal." His eyes went wide. Then I placed the folder next to his glass. Divorce papers. Signed. He didn't say anything for a full minute. Then he said, "Wait, hold on. Let's talk about this." I didn't let him talk. I told him I saw everything. That I knew about Sophie. That I read the messages, saw the pictures, knew how long it had been going on. He kept saying, "It's not what you think, and it didn't get physical, and I didn't mean to hurt you." I told him emotional cheating is cheating. That I wasn't some placeholder while he played out a fantasy life with another woman. He tried to apologize. Said he was confused. Said he loved me but felt lost. Said Sophie was just a friend who listened. He used all the tired lines. I stayed quiet. I let him talk until he ran out of things to say. Then I got up, cleared the dishes, and went to bed. I'm writing this the next day. He's in the guest room now. The house is too quiet. I haven't cried yet. I think I'm still in shock. I don't know what comes next. But I know I'm not staying in a marriage where I'm someone's second choice. It's been 5 days since I found the messages. Since the dinner. Since I handed him the divorce papers. Alex is still in the guest room. We're living in the same house, but we don't talk. It's like we're ghosts in the same place. He walks around like a shell of himself, eyes red, voice low. But I don't care. Not anymore. Or at least I'm trying not to. But something happened yesterday. Something I didn't expect. I got a message on Facebook. From Sophie. Yeah. Her. It started simple, "Hi. I'm sorry to reach out like this, but I feel like you deserve to know everything." My heart started pounding. My hands got sweaty. I didn't know whether to block her or scream into a pillow. But I replied. "What could you possibly say that I don't already know?" She said Alex told her we were separated. That he said I was cold, distant, barely speaking to him. That we slept in different rooms, barely touched, and were only legally together. That he had already filed for divorce, months ago. I couldn't even type back. I had to stand up, walk around, take deep breaths. My fingers were shaking. My mouth felt dry. She said she didn't know he was lying. She thought he was a man stuck in a loveless marriage trying to do the right thing slowly. I told her the truth, we weren't separated. He slept in our bed. He kissed me goodbye every morning. He told me he loved me. We went to brunch the weekend before. We were married. She apologized. A lot. She said she felt sick. She said if she had known, she never would have spoken to him again. She asked if I wanted screenshots of their conversations. I already had them, but I said yes. She sent more. Some I hadn't seen. Things from earlier in the year. That's when I saw it. We'll be in Paris soon, just like we dreamed. Paris. That's where we were supposed to go for our anniversary in 2 months. He told me we couldn't afford it this year. That work was too busy. That maybe we'd go next year. But he booked a trip to Paris. With her. He used our points. My points. I checked the account. The flight was real. The hotel was real. The dates were in October. Right over our anniversary. I confronted him that night. He didn't deny it. He sat at the kitchen table, eyes hollow, looking down at his hands. I asked him what he was going to do, sneak out while I slept. Lie and say it was a work retreat? He said nothing. Just stared. Then he said the worst thing. I didn't plan for it to go this far. I think that broke me more than the cheating. Because what does that mean? That if I hadn't found out, he would have kept both of us? Kept lying? Gone on his romantic trip while I stayed home thinking we were just in a rough patch. He begged me again. Said he'd cancel the trip. Said he'd block her. Said he wanted to go to therapy. But I didn't trust a single word. This man lied to me while looking me in the eyes. Made love to me while texting another woman in secret. He lied to her, too. Told her he was done with me. Told me she was just a coworker. He wanted both lives. He wanted the safety of me and the excitement of her. I told him therapy wasn't going to fix his choices. Then this morning, another twist. I got an email from his sister. We're not close, but we talk sometimes. She said she heard from Alex that we were getting divorced and wanted to check in. I told her the truth. She was quiet for a while, then said something that chilled me. This isn't the first time. I stared at the screen. What do you mean? She said Alex had done this before. In college. With a girl he was serious about. He cheated then, too. Lied about it for months. Swore it was a one-time thing. She thought he had changed after meeting me. He promised her he'd never do it again. She believed him. I didn't even know about the girl. He never told me. So now I'm sitting here, wondering what else I never knew. What other lies were buried in our years together? What other secrets he took for granted while I built a life on trust? I'm not done yet. There's more to this. More to uncover. More to say. I thought the worst part was over. I really believed that. I thought I'd read everything, felt everything, hit every wave of betrayal. I was wrong. Because yesterday, I found out something else. Something that makes the Paris trip look like a footnote. Let me back up. After the email from Alex's sister, I couldn't sleep. My brain wouldn't stop spinning. So I went back through the laptop. Not to torture myself, I thought maybe I missed something. Maybe I needed to understand more. This time, I checked the email app. I hadn't before. I was too focused on the messages. Buried in one of his folders, one I'd never seen before, labeled Consults, I found a trail of emails. Receipts. Invoices. Transfers. All going back over 8 months. At first, I thought it was for work. But the emails were personal. They mentioned options, privacy, timing. One had the subject, freeze confirmed. Storage for 1 year. It didn't make sense. Until I opened the email. It was a confirmation for sperm freezing. He'd gone to a fertility clinic. By himself. Without telling me. Without telling me anything. I just stared at the screen. My hands went cold. We tried to have kids for years. Tried everything. Doctors, meds, diets, charts. Eventually, we stopped. It hurt too much. We made peace with it, or at least I thought we had. He never once mentioned wanting to revisit that. Never brought up donors. Never talked about freezing anything. Not once. And now he'd done it. Secretly. Paid for it. Planned for a future I wasn't part of. My stomach turned. I dug deeper. There was a referral email from someone named Claire H. A specialist. From Portland. And in one of the emails, dated 2 months ago, I found this line, as discussed, once the legal matters are handled and the relocation is complete, we can begin treatment. Relocation? I checked the bank account. There it was. A security deposit for an apartment in Portland. 1 bedroom. Lease starting November 1st. He wasn't just cheating. He wasn't just planning Paris. He was moving. Starting over. Without telling me. I sat in the kitchen all night. I didn't even notice when the sun came up. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I felt empty. Like I'd just stepped out of my own life and was watching someone else's movie. When Alex came downstairs this morning, I was waiting for him. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just slid the laptop in front of him and opened the email with the clinic receipt. He froze. I asked him one question: were you planning to tell me before or after you left the country? He didn't speak for a long time. Then he just said, I didn't know how. I laughed. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was the most pathetic thing I'd ever heard. He finally admitted it. He and Sophie were going to move. Not right away, but soon. She got a job offer in Portland. He planned to transfer offices. They wanted to start fresh, maybe have a kid someday. So he froze his sperm just in case anything happened before they could. I asked him, again, why he didn't tell me. He said he was waiting for the right moment. The right moment. After 12 years of marriage, he was waiting for the right moment to walk away like I was a coworker to hand a resignation letter to. And here's the final twist, at least for now. Later this afternoon, while he was out, I don't even know where he went, I got another message. Not from Sophie. Not from a friend. From Claire H., the fertility consultant. She said she was following up on behalf of Sophie, who had asked her to check in since Alex hadn't replied to their last message. I sat there stunned. So I asked Claire, does Sophie know he's married? Claire replied within minutes. What? Married? So now. I'm realizing Sophie didn't know about the sperm freezing either. She thought he was doing it for her, but she didn't know how far he had gone behind her back too. And just like that, I realized I wasn't the only one he was lying to. He played both of us. Two versions of the truth. One for each woman. One life here, another life he hadn't built yet but was planning piece by piece. This isn't just a story about cheating anymore. This is about a man building an entire second life behind the scenes. And somehow thinking no one would notice. More updates soon. This isn't done. This will be my last update. I don't know how to write the end of a marriage, but I'll try. Everything came to a head 3 nights ago. After I found out Sophie didn't know about the sperm freezing, and probably not about the apartment in Portland either, I made a decision. I called her. Not a message. Not a cryptic email. I found her number in one of the screenshots she sent and just called. She picked up. At first, she was quiet, like she wasn't sure if it was really me. Then she said, I was going to call you. I told her everything. Every last thing. About the Paris trip, the apartment, the fertility clinic. I told her he was still living here, still pretending to be a broken man trying to make amends. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, he told me you begged him to stay. I swear I stopped breathing for a second. He said you couldn't accept it. That you were depressed. That he was giving you time to adjust before he filed. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I think I was too numb. We decided to confront him. Together. The next evening, I asked him to stay home, said we needed to talk. He looked hesitant, but agreed. Around 6:30 p.m., Sophie knocked on the door. He answered it. I watched his face drop. He looked at her. Then me. Then back at her. What is this? Sophie walked in. Calm, quiet, like a storm was building behind her eyes. I said, let's talk, all 3 of us. No more lies. He tried to deny it at first. Said we were ganging up on him. Said we didn't understand. Then Sophie pulled out her phone. She read his texts out loud. The ones where he promised her they'd move by November. The ones where he said I was just holding on because I didn't know how to be alone. The ones where he said he felt suffocated by guilt but had no choice. Then I pulled out my folder. The emails, the Paris plans, the fertility clinic, the lease in Portland. And then, finally, I asked the question that I had been scared to ask. Were you ever planning to tell either of us the truth? He stared at the floor. Then he whispered something so soft, we barely heard it. I didn't want to lose both of you. Sophie looked like she'd been slapped. I felt something strange. Not anger. Not grief. Clarity. He wanted a backup plan for both lives. He thought if one fell apart, the other would still be waiting. He didn't love either of us enough to choose. He loved himself too much to be honest. Sophie stormed out first. She told him she never wanted to hear from him again. As she passed me, she paused and said, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of this. After she left, I just sat across from him at the table. He cried. He tried to talk. I let him. I let him say everything he needed to say. How he got overwhelmed, how he didn't know how to be alone, how he panicked after turning 40 and realizing he wasn't the man he thought he'd be. I listened. I didn't forgive. Then I told him I was moving out. I found a short-term rental 2 neighborhoods away. I didn't want the house. Too many ghosts in these walls. The next morning, I packed what I needed and left. He asked me one last time if we could start over. Said he'd go to therapy. Said he'd block her. Said all the right things, now that everything was gone. I told him, we're past starting over. You ended this the day you let someone else become your home. It's been 2 weeks since that night. I'm living in a small place now. Just me, a coffee maker, a thrifted couch, and silence. Sometimes it's too quiet. Sometimes I cry. But I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again. His sister called and said she wasn't surprised. She said, he always had one foot out the door. I guess I just never looked closely enough to see it. Sophie emailed once. She's taking time off, staying with a friend in California. She said she still feels stupid. I told her not to. We both believed a man who crafted lies so carefully that we confused them for love. Do I miss him? Sometimes. I miss the idea of who he was. The version of him that used to warm my hands in winter, who'd run to the car in the rain just to open my door. But that man's been gone a long time. I've learned this, love doesn't mean staying quiet. It doesn't mean shrinking to fit into someone else's fantasy. And it sure as hell doesn't mean becoming an afterthought in your own life. I don't know what comes next. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not scared of the silence anymore.